A desert in a city that was once underwater. That sounds unbelievable to some, yet New Orleans, the city below sea, is home to one of the most substantial food deserts in America. A food desert is defined as a low-income area with little to no access to healthy, affordable, and fresh food. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, there are 6,501 food deserts within the borders of the United States, where healthy, affordable food is difficult to obtain due to barriers such as a lack of access to fresh food retailers, availability of nutritious foods, and affordability of foods.
Areas such as New Orleans, which are plagued with poverty and inequality, have deep-rooted health issues, which can be tied back to the issue of food deserts. The issue in areas labeled as food deserts is not limited to a lack of food access, but also encompasses a shortage of nutrient-dense food. The food purchased at convenience stores and fast food chains is high in caloric content, but is often labeled as empty-calorie food. Empty-calorie foods are high in solid fats and unnecessary added sugars, which offer no vitamins or minerals. Many researchers have examined the connection between a lack of supermarkets and the prevalence of dietary-related health complications. There seems to be a relationship between low access to nutrient-dense foods and unwanted health outcomes such as obesity and diabetes, which both are prevalent in low-income areas.
The disparity in access to high-quality foods between African Americans and other minority races is undoubtedly an issue with long-standing roots before Hurricane Katrina. The intensity of this Category 5 storm, however, exacerbated the issue pertaining to access of adequate foods. Since 2005, after this devastation, the local communities, as well as planning boards, have been collaborating ways to rehabilitate the city and restore environmental justice. Areas with large populations of people of color also tend to be areas of low income. In areas such as these, people experience a concept known as environmental racism. These people are faced with larger exposure to waste, pollutants, and less exposure to natural areas and non-processed foods.
Many nonprofit urban farming organizations have decided to take advantage of the 66,000 vacant lots around the city, bringing a revolution to the food scarcity issue through a method known as urban farming. These urban agriculture movements defy capitalism or capitalist values, as previously passive, powerless consumers now become empowered producers of their own food. Prior to these urban agricultural movements, globalization, corporatization, and industrialization of food and agriculture were producing both societies of abundance and scarcity. Many of these urban farming organizations now operate under the New Orleans Food and Farm Network, which launched before Katrina. Post-Katrina, the lack of food in the city allowed the organizations to switch gears, focusing on planting farms, launching markets, and training new farmers with the ultimate goal of combating food deserts.
Holy Grove Market and Farms has a mission focused on increasing access to fresh, local produce to residents of New Orleans. They accomplish this through a weekly produce market, an on-site urban farm, and community garden space.
And the community outreach is really the more exciting part to me, is focusing on trying to connect with community organizations in the neighborhood, other organizations around the city that are, either providing greater food access, food literacy, and education programs, basically just trying to expand our impact and how we're able to reach more people, give more people access to food and understanding of what to do with it.
The Holly Grove Market and Farms is also a local urban farm that supports the Veggie RX program, which aims to provide underserved communities with fresh produce by allowing consumers to exchange healthcare provider-generated prescriptions for local fresh fruit and vegetables.
And both the Veggie RX program and EBT purchases both get an additional 20% off, which is just something that we do to, again, encourage people who need the produce most to shop here, shop locally and seasonally. Continue to strive for is an even broader reach, with an even deeper reach within the neighborhood. We do also offer a 20% discount to residents within a fairly small radius of the market. Fewer options for where to go, and we're pretty close to one of the clinics where people are actually getting their scripts. So we have a lot of people come through with that. We're also open 7 days a week, as opposed to the Crescent City Farmers Markets or Get Fit sites, which are a little harder to track down.
Holly Grove Market and Farm fights for food justice and equality while promoting the production of local foods with farmers markets and community-supported agriculture, which aids these impoverished urban environments.
Providing this as an outlet, both immediate resources for people in a food desert, as well as a great local sustainable option for people from across the city, is sort of the balance we're looking to hit.
With the implementation of food education and cooking classes, the future of Holy Grove Market and Farms will hopefully have a larger impact on the surrounding community.
I'm looking at implementing probably starting with just a monthly workshop where we're going to look at sort of teaching skills and techniques that will be most helpful to people that either are needing to balance storage space and refrigeration issues, which is sometimes unfortunately a concern for some of our neighbors, seasonal shopping and eating, as well as some easy, healthful cooking techniques that can help integrate less usual ingredients into people's diets. And we're looking at, hopefully, especially starting in the new year, bringing more of a sort of a seating area to this space so that it can also be not only a place to make groceries, but more of a passive community space where we can start hosting more, after school programs, food education again.
Urban farms use unused land and buildings to create sustainable gardens, farms, and places for the community to plant fresh foods. Not only does urban agriculture alleviate food scarcity in places of low income, but also its positive effects carry out into many other aspects within the community.
The reason that we have it set up this way is not only because it's beautiful and because we do sell some of their products in the market, but to demonstrate a working urban farm and also just show how little space you need to garden your own things, to develop a small farm. But we do sell a lot of herbs and kale and lettuces and muscadine grapes that our farmers and our community growers supply us with.
Urban farming also helps in eliminating a massive portion of our nation's pollution. Nearly 21% of all pollution is caused by food production, distribution, transportation, and consumption. By redirecting food growth in the areas where it's needed most, heavily populated urban areas, and away from rural farms, a stronger connection is built between the consumer and the producer, but also eliminates the need for CO2 emissions via transportation and factory farms. This change will not only affect the urban populations, but will decrease the need for large corporate farms, allowing family farms a greater chance of survival as they've slowly been eliminated through industrialization. Urban agriculture creates a more reliable and healthy relationship between society and the environment and supports methods of farming that are not only safer and healthier for humans, but for our planet as well.
Not only does urban agriculture apply to areas like New Orleans, but it can also be applied worldwide. Though normally urban farms are created in areas labeled as food deserts, they can also be created in areas that aren't suffering from food scarcity issues, simply as a means of easier access to fresh food and supporting local businesses rather than corporations. By spreading the usage of urban agriculture and its prevalence in the urban communities, more environmentally sustainable areas will be created. Less pollution will be produced, and the reliance on corporations and factory farms will be decreased immensely. In large cities like Tokyo and New York, architecture and urban agriculture have become one and the same by creating rooftop and hanging gardens. Through the works of New Orleans Food and Farm Network, not only are they supplying a deprived area with access to healthy food, they are also beautifying and changing the neighborhood. Through these community-supported agriculture projects, this umbrella organization also strengthens the relationship between the New Orleans community and the environment.